Mentorship is a science that has not been clearly defined, but every year the ATVB's Women's Leadership Committee presents the Mentor of Women Award to a member of the ATVB Council who has shown exceptional support of the careers of women in the fields of atherosclerosis, thrombosis, and vascular biology on both an individual and global basis through mentoring and advocacy. Past awardees include Trudy Forte, Lynn Hedrick, Catherine Moore, and Alan Doherty, amongst other distinguished scientists. Now, Murray Huff joins the ranks of these exemplary scientists. I'm Mireille Ouimet, Assistant Professor at the University of Ottawa and a member of the ATVB Women's Leadership Committee. And it's my special honor to conduct this short interview with Murray about the science of mentorship according to Murray Huff. Murray is not only internationally recognized for his contributions to the ATVB scientific community, but he has been an active member of the Canadian lipoprotein community, and I have yet to attend a Gordon Research Conference on lipoprotein metabolism or atherosclerosis without Murray, which has been great fun, especially when driving together. So welcome everyone to this special BEaTS edition brought to you by the University of Ottawa Heart Institute. And Murray joins me here today to talk about his recent ATVB Mentor of Women Award and how to build a good mentor and mentee relationship. So welcome, Murray. Murray, who are the mentors that had an impact on your career and why?
Well, that's a great question, Mireille, and of course it's great to be here. But sort of reaching back, some of my mentors have been initially David Roberts, who was a postdoctoral fellow in the lab in which I did my PhD. And he was young, enthusiastic, and he really instilled in me the importance of really good ideas, using the most novel technologies and models, and really to publish, which will be a repeating theme throughout this mentorship event. Next was Ron Hopkirk, who was a senior member of the biochemistry department when I rejoined the faculty at the University of Western Ontario. And he really taught me how to lecture effectively, how to inspire and inspire students and to create great slides. And he would often sit in on my early lectures and provided great feedback and criticism. And when I look back on that, I found out it was a superb, not only learning technique for myself, but what a great mentor he was. He also helped me effectively manage departmental politics. So for you, there are new associate or assistant professors in your first faculty position, how to managing department politics is really a great skill to obtain. And next is, Dawn Telford, who's been my lab manager for over 38 years. And what she really taught me how to do was to pay attention, or how to teach trainees to pay attention to their hypotheses, and particularly how to teach them complicated lab techniques to trainees, and really how to encourage these trainees when inevitably things are not going well. And finally, although many others have served a mentorship role for me, my friend and colleague Rob Hegley has been incredibly helpful throughout my career. He really coached me on the importance of a well-written grant application to make it interesting and to really articulate your ideas extremely well, and to articulate them in a very simple, straightforward manner. He also continues to talk about the importance and to teach the importance of to publish, and how to present your science at meetings. He's a great presenter and really taught me how to create a unique style and to be personal and to really tell a really good story about your science. There are many others, but the take-home message is to really choose a good mentor, accept what they have to offer you. Don't be shy, don't be defensive, accept their comments and criticisms and work on them and move forward. So use their skill sets to your advantage.
That's excellent advice, Marie. So it sounds like you've had, a host of different mentors that have brought you different skills and, taught you different things. So that's actually great. It's not about just having one mentor, it's having, several mentors that have this diverse, these diverse talents that can actually overall improve your science and and your skills in the workforce. So that
Right.
that is really insightful. Now, do you have examples of what not to do? Have you had examples of mentors that aren't what not to do as a mentor, actually, from people that, or mistakes that you've made, something like that?
That kind of caught me off guard, but um, I would think that yeah, there's numbers of things that perhaps one shouldn't do, but flip it around, really, things that one should do. So some things that strike me about things that are not to do is perhaps supervisors who really are not fully engaged with their trainees, who really don't engage with them personally on a regular basis, and also to um, let them loose to their own devices to extended periods of time, and to not be available. But that really turns it around to what kinds of things should one do, and what things are really signs of being a good mentor. And so I certainly don't have all the answers, but many of the things that have worked for me include building self-confidence in trainees right from the start. Often they come with great skill sets, but maybe are not as confident as they might be in order to be successful. So really creating a nurturing environment and spending the time to review work regularly and praise individuals often, particularly at the beginning when they've been successful at generating that next piece of data or establishing that new technique. And if corrections and criticisms are required, be gentle and be patient. It's a learning process. Engage with those individuals on a personal level, and that can really pay dividends. Really make sure that your trainees actively participate in developing their own project. And this really pays off in the long run, that they help to establish their hypothesis. Often at the beginning, they are ideas that come from you, but it's really important that you translate those ideas so that they become theirs, that they becomes their project, that they take an ownership of that project. And that will really pay off in how they design their experiments in the long term and the quality of their ongoing work. So this takes time, but really will pay dividends.
I
And
think that's really a good point there, because of course, you start with your PI's idea. And I know for myself, like, I felt so proud when I'd come up with an idea and the experiment worked and it was my idea, and I think if you maybe micromanage too much, it can kill that scientific creativity, right? So
absolutely, that's a great point, and the one that I fully subscribe to. Um, Another really important point, at least in for me, is that to encourage trainees to participate in lab meetings regularly. I know of other labs at lab meetings, trainees are not encouraged to participate and not encouraged to offer opinions, etc., throughout the lab meeting, particularly when others are presenting their work. It's really important that trainees present their recent experiments, and to do that often, not just every couple of months, but to do it almost on a weekly basis. And to really be encouraged to interpret their data themselves without you doing it for them. And that really builds confidence and really builds the scientific technique. It also really helps with them engaging in their hypothesis on a regular basis. Try to keep an eye on the big picture, and also to accept. It's a great forum for trainees to accept positive feedback, not only from their supervisors but from their other lab members. So offer constructive criticisms to others when they present at lab meetings as well. And that builds that confidence and that technology. So some other interesting points are that at least that I think are really helpful, is to really encourage submission of abstracts to scientific meetings of your trainees. This will really help them in the long run, help them prepare their talk, particularly to rehearse the talk. A successful oral presentation at a scientific meeting is a huge confidence booster, which then leads to even more and greater productivity, and is really super helpful to the trainee. The same techniques apply to poster presentation, but in addition, it's really important that that individual develop their elevator pitch, in a very short, concise way. What is exciting about their work, and what is really important to them about it, and to why the questions are important, and the high quality of the results that are coming from it. Be available for random consultations. You hear often that, oh, my supervisor's never around, I never get to talk to them. Well, I think it's super important to be available particularly for random short-term consultations. These are often burning questions that a trainee might have, and a short conversation can sometimes lead to some great new insights into some great ongoing productivity. Really be encouraging and help the trainees select appropriate committee members. Having a enthusiastic and engaged committee member can really go a long way to pushing trainees' productivity and make them highly successful. So those are a few of the techniques that have really really helped me achieve a level of success in trainees, and allowing them to achieve success and move on to more successful careers.
Thank you, Marie, for these excellent tips on mentorship. I think some of them really hit home for me as well. Praising, I think we don't tend to do that enough, to celebrate the successes of trainees, celebrate our successes. By the time that paper gets accepted, you don't necessarily, or gets published, you're kind of, you've worked so hard on it, it almost seems anticlimactic, right? And you forget that it's a huge achievement, and you really have to highlight these successes, and to celebrate them, and to be there for trainees, I think is necessary. Impromptu discussions, like you said, that's where the best scientific ideas come from, right? Maybe at the pub, maybe on the at ATVB during some pre-talk or post-talk drinks, for example. Although we can't appreciate that this year, but another question I had for you, and this is our last question for our discussion. Who are your most memorable trainees, Marie, and why?
Well, that's a great question. I really don't want to center anybody out or leave anybody out who's really been great in terms of their performance, and ongoing activities. But here's a few highlights, at least for me, and not in any particular order, but the late Stuart Whitman, who is an associate professor at the University of the Ottawa Heart Institute. He was tremendous at showing perseverance. He was meticulous in his lab techniques, and he really promoted his own novel ideas and sound scientific rationale. John Burnett, who's now the chair of clinical biochemistry for the Perth hospitals in Perth, Australia. John had a great work ethic. He really had great ideas and was always willing to discuss them, and to kind of move me over to his way of thinking, which was a great way for a trainee to move forward. He always was great at helping us keep our eye on the clinical perspective of our projects. Nika Borodale is now an associate professor at the University of Western Ontario. She is a quiet but a highly determined individual. She really worked hard, was always well organized, and in particular, she writes very well, and she really pushed hard to publish her work. Carmen Argman, who's now associate professor at the Mount Sinai School of Medicine in New York, she was a real go-getter. She really worked extremely hard. She was really good at moving forward with experimental ideas. She was lots of fun to be around, and she really created a fantastic lab atmosphere. And she also was really great at pushing forward with her publications. Lazar Bojic, who is okay, I'm gonna have to, sorry about that.
That's okay.
maybe he can cut that out.
Yeah.
So Lazar Bojic, who was a great trainee, he's now a senior director of corporate development at Engine in Boston. Lazar had a great work ethic, had a really pleasant and personality, always enthusiastic. He was a great presenter, really had some natural skills of presenting, which really were easy to push to a higher level. He really articulated his ideas very effectively. He really was committed to getting his work published. And he demonstrated his versatility by growing his skill sets for an effective position in industry, which he now has. Erin Mulvihill, who's an assistant professor now at the University of Ottawa Heart Institute, she earned the nickname of a real Spitfire by one of her committee members, and that was a really fitting moniker for Erin. She had a great work ethic. She still does. She's a great organizer. She used to organize my lab staff more effectively than I can ever hope to do. She loved to debate very effectively on the merits of each experimental approach. She was super with fourth-year students and summer students, which really is going to serve her extremely well in her own scientific career. She was really determined to publish, and she still is, and she's really good at it. And finally, but certainly not least, Amy Burke, who's the CIHR PDF at New York University with Catherine Moore. She's very quiet, but yet very determined. She really effectively brought new techniques to her project from outside, which was a real boon to our lab. And she's turned out to be a great presenter, won all kinds of presentation awards, including the Junior Research Award for Women from ATVB. And she, in turn, was really worked hard at publishing her work. And that's an underlying theme, is making sure that you're telling a story and to get your work written up and out there and published. So I really I feel really honored and fortunate to have worked with so many wonderful and talented trainees, and it really has been one of the highlights of my career.
Thank you so much, Marie, for sharing all of these thoughts today about mentorship. And I really admire your support of all these trainees that have gone on and become independent and successful in their own rights. So it's been a pleasure to talk to you, and thanks for joining in. Although we can't be together this year to properly celebrate this on the ATVB dance floor, we toast and are together virtually. So congratulations again on your Mentor of Women Award. And I hope to see you in person sometime in the not too distant future. So thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mireille, for your words of congratulations, and I must say it's been great being here, and I've really enjoyed doing this interview.
Fantastic.